What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another CleanWorks YouTube video. I'm just stepping in here real quick to tell you that while I'm editing this video, I realize that it's getting a little long, so there's timestamps in the description. Feel free to jump around and enjoy the rest of this video. Everything out on the road these days is either black, white, silver, or some version of gray. So it's nice when something a little bit different comes to the shop, and here it is.
This is a 2017 Ford Focus RS in the famous Nitrous Blue, and it's in for a lot of work. It's really filthy, and the owner has made the investment to not only improve the condition, but to keep it looking clean and shiny for a long time. The owner mentioned to me that he hit some pretty major tar and got most of it off, but it's not 100%, so that was the final nail in the coffin to get this car taken care of by a professional. This is the owner's one and only car, so this gets used every day. There was a mishap with the open rear hatch in a low garage. There's leaves in all of the big air intakes, and the door jambs and undercarriage of this car need major help because these are the dirtiest I have seen these areas in a long time. A quick look at the interior, it's not bad, just used every day. It'll look as fresh as the day he drove it home for the first time, and this car is getting a decon wash, engine bay, and wheels off service, and I'm going to fix that scratch on the rear hatch. I'll finish with an interior detail and a 5-year coating on pretty much all exterior surfaces of this car.
Before I get started on this RS detail, I want to touch on two quick things. Number one being, during that quick walk around video, while overall the car doesn't look too bad when you take a step back and look at it, I agree with you from a professional perspective, but you have to remember that this car is from 2017. It's 2022, damn near 2023. There's 5-6 years worth of stuff and areas missed on this car that just need to be cleaned by a professional, and they need the right tools and the right products, which is why it's here today. And you can't just assume that it's clean because it looks clean. We all know what assuming does. It's not by any means the worst car I've ever seen, but it definitely needs quite a bit of love, and it's a little neglected. And number two, I have the pleasure of working on some pretty exclusive, unique, and by association expensive cars. That did not happen overnight, and I had to work really hard to get where I am today. In order to do that, I had to deal with people questioning me and looking at me weird, like anyone or any business has dealt with when starting out. I have built a name for myself, built a clientele network, and built a portfolio full of interesting cars. And while all that is great, now that I'm at this point, I realize that I'm faced with a new kind of skepticism. Several people, including the owner of this RS, have made a comment that sounds a little like this. Get back, call me when it's done, looking forward to it, and look, I know it's not a Ferrari or a Rolls Royce, but it's special to me, so just take care of it. Alright? Thanks, man. See ya. The fact that this is even a concern is just mind-boggling to me, because I know that it's a very real thing where a shop will do a really good job on a Rolls Royce, let's say, but when a much less expensive car comes in, they not only wind up ruining the car, but they ruin the customer experience. Just a rule of thumb, please respect other people's stuff. This RS owner, he's always been a Ford guy. He wanted it, he worked for it, he got it, he bought it brand new, and sure, the sticker might have said $45,000, but I bet you that it's worth more than that to him. To add to that, I've also seen $200,000 cars treated like trash. So whatever the price tag says, don't assume what it's worth to the owner. Treat every single car the same way. With that being said, and to get the consistent results that you want, whether that's a Ferrari or a Ford, you need a process. The tools and products can change depending on the car that you're working on, but the process basically remains the same. And I'm here to show you my process. Now, this isn't a magic pill or the only way to detail a car, but it is one of the many ways to detail a car correctly and a process that works. With that being said, I approach every single detail as if I was buying the car or just bought the car. So after speaking with the client and getting a history report on the car, basically, I take a step back, look at it, and I'm like, how would I bring this car to my CleanWorks standards? Now, the clean work standard is very high, so it's going to be better than showroom. And by the way, I don't really like using that term because you go see cars at the showroom, or I get brand new cars that come in here with like less than 10 miles on them, and you know, they already look like they got, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50,000 miles on them. I don't really like using that term. It's going to be clean with a K. So before you even get any of your detailing stuff out, you want to park your car in a spot where there's plenty of room to walk around and look at your car from front to rear, side to side, top to bottom, and see where there are areas that need special attention. Now, guys, I'm not talking about the obvious stuff like it needs an interior detail and, you know, you need to wash and decontaminate it and stuff like that. I'm talking about, you know, isolated scratches, or for example, on this specific car, the wheels need to come off because they are disgusting. So I'm talking about stuff like that. Obviously, you got to wash the car, clean this, clean that. But I'm talking about things like the door jambs are caked, the engine bay needs to be cleaned, this area, that area. Spend some time going through your car, develop a game plan, and get to detailing.
Welcome to Chicago, where it looks like a summer day, but it's raining. There is a set of winter wheels in the car, so I got those out and moved them out of the way. Remove anything that is easily removed with little effort, such as the license plate and bracket. This is also a good time to remove roof racks for a more efficient detail. I'm using quick jacks to lift the car, but you can use a normal floor jack with a jack stand, work one corner at a time, and do it that way. You know, I worked at Ford, and we had the same problem. The chrome nuts would swell and you had to beat them out of the socket. This is going to be a minute. Taking the wheels off reveals the true nature of what we're dealing with in these awesome blue Brembos. By removing the wheels, we can get better access to things like brake calipers and exposed suspension components to clean and protect them. This is by no means a service that should be a part of your routine wash process, but I would recommend you pull all the wheels off and clean everything at least once a year. The undercarriage and wheels are designed to handle a lot of abuse and to be very durable. With that being said, there is no need for soft brushes or fancy tools. However, the chemicals you use will vary depending on what surfaces you're working on. Avoid using acidic wheel cleaners, especially on a car like this with performance brakes. Your wheels get dirty because of the material in your brake pads, so to break down the dirt and grime down here, just use a non-acidic wheel cleaner or iron remover. To clean the arches, use your favorite all-purpose cleaner like Simple Green, agitate with your brushes, and flush them out. If your car has carpeted or fabric arch liners, you will spend some time flushing these out. Manufacturers put these liners in to reduce road/tire noise in the cabin. Don't scrub these too hard or you will ruin them. Spray your cleaner, let it sit, and rinse it out. A power washer helps a ton, but you can do this with a hose. It's just going to take you a lot longer. I spent a lot of time getting these Brembos clean because sometimes one round of cleaning is not enough. Keep working at it until you're satisfied. There's no law saying you can't clean it twice for better results. I'm using P&S iron remover for maximum cleaning power, and we're doing clean, rinse, inspect, and repeat. To remove the leftover tar, I'm using Stoner's Tar and Sap Remover, and this is a readily available product that works really well for light to moderate tar. Spray a little on the panel, let it start to attack the tar, spray a little more on your microfiber, and gently wipe away the tar. Rinse with some water to neutralize the tar remover, and then once you move on to the wheels, pretty straightforward and easy to do since they are not on the car. I clean the tires from both sides and use a combination of iron remover and wheel cleaner to get these looking sweet. Doing an engine bay detail prior to your wash is recommended because you will get a lot of overspray and streaking on your body panels. Blow out any debris and leaves with a leaf blower, compressed air, or just pick out as much as you can with your hands. Wet leaves are gross, fall apart, and are just not fun to deal with when wet, so get those out before you start. Cover up sensitive electrical connections, but more importantly, air intakes. I used to work at Ford, and these take just a couple seconds to take out, so I just removed it. I stuck a clean towel in the air intake to absorb any overspray or water that might make its way down there. Never do a detail on a hot engine. Let it cool off for a couple of hours before you start cleaning it, and use all-purpose cleaner. If you have a really dirty, oily engine bay, then you can use a degreaser. One important thing to note is that engine bays are designed to get wet. That is, to an extent. The best way to prevent damage or flooding is to simulate rain with your hose. The mist setting is my favorite on the nozzle because I have a lot of control as well as low mess. Could you use a power washer? Yeah, but there's a lot of risk that comes with that, so it's just better and safer to use a normal garden hose. Everyone listening right now has to understand that your door jambs, or the frame around the door, is the largest water runoff drain that's on a car. Rainwater carrying dirt and grime makes its way down here, and if you neglect it, it can lead to a nasty sight when you open the door, or worse, the bottom of your door is rotting out. Use a wash mitt, microfiber towel, or a soft brush like I am, just because I want to make sure I'm cleaning any gaps or edges to flush out all dirt. I'm using all-purpose cleaner diluted 10:1, and again using the mist setting on a garden hose for less mess. Carry a clean microfiber towel in your pocket to wipe off any overspray on the inside of the car. Finally, moving on to cleaning the car itself, I'm using my foam cannon with Sonax Active Foam Energy as my pre-soak because I've been using this for quite a while, and really I can make a whole separate video on why I like it so much. For the actual soap going into the bucket, I'm using MZ Wash from Menzerna because depending on the dilution ratio, this can be a strip wash or a maintenance soap, and it works really well as either. This big air intake acts like a giant mouth, and you can see that I'm actually sticking my air nozzle into the bumper to blow out any debris and pebbles that might be sitting in there. Not only will you see this junk in there when you're done, if you don't do this, this also allows you to inspect your radiator or intercooler for damage, and let's be honest, you wouldn't have looked in there otherwise. Foaming a car isn't just for show or a waste of product. Depending on the situation, a pre-soak like this can actually benefit you by dragging all that dirt and grime gently and safely off of the car. Thus, you have less dirt to remove, which equals less chance of you scratching the car. When you do rinse, do not focus on getting all the soap off. It doesn't need to be 100% yet. Foam again to provide extra lubricity, and it's time for the contact wash. Use a soft brush to clean any edges, cracks, crevices, and badges, because I don't care what wash mitt you use, you will not get the wash mitt in certain areas. Plus, cleaning all these areas out makes for a no chance detailing process by making sure we remove everything. I don't want to be blowing out dirty water out of areas when I go and dry the car. Once you brush all those areas out, you can come in with your wash mitt and knock out the rest of the car pretty quickly since the little details are already done. Notice that I'm periodically checking my wash mitt for the amount of dirt I'm pulling off. Work top to bottom straight line motions, and don't scrub. Let the pressure of your hand, the chemicals, and the wash mitt do its job. Leave the rear area of the car for last because this is the dirtiest area on your vehicle's body, and you don't want to be dragging that on the rest of your car.
So you wash the car, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily clean. While it looks 10 times better, you have to do a general walkthrough and see any areas missed or any areas that need a little bit of extra cleaning power. Obviously, a normal wash isn't going to remove tar and embedded contamination and things like that. So let's see what we need to do. Now, the front's fine. There's not a lot of bugs on there. Really not much to talk about. There is still some tar up along the side skirt, as well as some specks on the door, the rear door, this arch back here, and especially the rear, mostly this driver's side corner right here. And as you guys can see, the rear is still a little bit dirty. Now, that's because due to aerodynamics, your car's rear becomes a vacuum. As you drive along, everything gets picked up from your car, or from the road, I should say, and then it stays back there. Now, the longer it stays back there, the longer time it has to sit, and it becomes dirty like that. So we have to use a clay bar, iron removal, things like that. Again, guys, you can't assume. It hasn't been cleaned in a while. It's very dirty. To prove it to you, I have a bucket that I'm filling up with fresh water to show you how dirty it is. Because remember, we already washed the car. All we're doing now is kind of exfoliating the paintwork.
Grab any spray bottle and mix up a solution of car shampoo and water. You don't need any special lubricant, this is enough to get the job done. I'm using a clay towel which is bigger and more user-friendly than your traditional clay bar. Regardless of the type of clay bar, make sure you use light pressure and straight line motions. You will feel the surface getting smoother and smoother as you make your passes. Inspect the panel as you're working on it and make cleaning adjustments as needed. Once your panel is not becoming any smoother, rinse off the soapy residue and repeat on the rest of the car. This is the best iron remover that I use, and it's the best of value in my opinion. Spray it on the car, let it sit until you see purple residue, and agitate with a microfiber towel to really get all that iron out in the paint.
You know you've done a good job when the water just wants to sit on the panel and it doesn't want to go anywhere. That means it's clean, it's smooth, there's no protection on it, and we can actually go ahead and dry it and get to paint correction. As far as drying is concerned, you can either use a dedicated car blower, a leaf blower, or you can just use a normal towel or even compressed air. So it depends on what you have handy, but you want to get all the water out of all the nooks and crannies because that will hinder your paint correction process. Now that you've spent all this time cleaning and decontaminating your car and it's inside, take a final walk around with a flashlight and look for scratches, swirls, deep imperfections, any sort of contamination that you might have missed, and get a true idea of the condition of the paintwork. Now, here's a pro tip for you guys. If you have something like a black, gray, kind of darker colored car, you want white light. So you kind of want the higher color temperature rather than lower. Now, if you have something like a red, yellow, kind of like a brighter colored car, then you want to mimic sunlight as best as you can. So use something like a halogen light, something more with like a yellowish or orange hue to it. So let's take a look at this RS and see what we're actually dealing with.
So let me start out by saying that everything looks way better through a camera lens than in real life. Car looks great, but we are far from done. This car has typical wash marring and swirlage going on, and I would say this is moderate damage. Do your walk around with all the lights on, make your notes, then walk around the car again in dark conditions with a flashlight. This is going to help you find things on the car that you might have otherwise missed. Now, because the wheels were already off of the car and I'm a little bit insane, I decided to make the calipers pop a little bit more and decided to polish them.
if you look on the bottle, it literally says scratch removal and gloss finish in one step. And there's your cut and gloss meter. In one sense, this is a all-in-one polish, but this doesn't have any fillers. This doesn't have any waxes in it. This is not meant to correct and protect your car. This is what they mean by all-in-one is this product is really whatever you want it to be. It can be I wouldn't necessarily call this a fine polish. This is a really good product for basically moderate to severe paint corrections, and on most daily driven vehicles, one step, even on a black car, will finish out very, very well, and it's very rare that you would actually have to do a second step to finish out that black paint. I mean, there's basically zero haze off of this if you do everything correctly. When I was at this Menzerna training event, I got the pleasure of meeting Chris Sen, who is the head coach of Menzerna Training. And he tells me, yeah, we have tons of this stuff on hand at my shop because we use this on pretty much every single car that comes through that needs to be corrected. And at first I was skeptical because, everyone says that, they got this magic product, right, that can do everything and anything. But after using it for a few months now, this is pretty much all I use. I believe you, Chris, okay? And those of you watching, go out and buy you some, okay? It's not cheap, I'll tell you that right now, so if you're on a budget, but I mean, you got to pay to play. Buy this and you will not regret it. This can literally replace most, if not all, of your polishing compounds. I mean, have, some sort of fine polish, on hand. It doesn't come without its cons, but the point is, it's really, really good, and I highly, highly recommend it.
If you put down too much product like I did right here, then it's no big deal. Just make your work area bigger. Not only do the tools and products you use affect your results, but arm speed and arm pressure are huge variables that can make or break a correction. These are feelings that I cannot translate through the camera, but what I can say is rest the machine against the panel using the machine's own weight plus enough force onto the machine so you can control it comfortably. Set the machine to speed 3/4 and you are on your way. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys would like an in-depth polishing training video or some sort of program. Once all the polishing is done, I used Menzerna Control Cleaner, which is the best panel prep I have used to get the car clean one final time before we apply the ceramic coating. Each ceramic coating brand will have their own installation procedures, so do your homework. Remember, all you're doing is applying a protectant. There is no need to scrub or press hard. Don't risk ruining all this work when you're so close to the finish line. Just transfer the ceramic coating from your applicator pad onto the panel using an H pattern. This RS received our 5-year ceramic coating package on all exterior surfaces and was an absolute pleasure to work on. This Nitrous Blue came out awesome and I'm really pleased with it. If you guys found this video helpful, then please subscribe and share this video with whomever you think could benefit from this. Write your comments below and remember to always stay clean.